Welcome to Seniors Healthy. Are you, perhaps, worried about your get up and go, maybe finding those brain fog moments a bit more frequent? Or perhaps you're keeping it, well, closer watch on your blood sugar than you'd really like. Yeah, that's a big one for many people. Well, definitely pay close attention today because there's some shocking new science uncovering a surprising, sort of hidden culprit right there in many of our kitchens. We're talking about everyday bread. That's absolutely right. There's major new research out, studies that followed thousands of older adults, and they're revealing that choosing the wrong kinds of breads can actually, well, chip away at your health in some really fundamental ways. Really? Like how? We're talking about impacts you might not even suspect. Things like your leg strength, your balance, keeping your blood sugar steady, and even the healthy aging of your brain. It's quite broad. Okay, but hold on, this isn't about giving up bread entirely, is it? No, absolutely not. That's the good news, phew. Because we've sifted through the very latest scientific findings to bring you a really clear and hopefully simple guide. Today on Seniors Healthy, we're counting down the best and the worst breads for seniors. And it's all backed by solid science. Exactly. Our mission is pretty straightforward today. We want to cut through all that confusing marketing noise and just give you the clear information you need to truly nourish your body. Yeah, and it can start with something as simple as the bread you choose. Okay, let's do it. The golden loaf. For bread science says you should embrace, so let's get to the good news first. Sounds good. Let's start positive. Let's dive into the breads that the science is saying you should be thinking about including in your diet. We're starting our countdown at the top for good breads at number 4. For sprouted whole grain bread, the awakened grainer. Yes. Okay, let's unpack this one. Sprouted grain bread. What exactly makes it different? What's special here? Well, what's really interesting is how allowing that grain to just begin to sprout it actually changes its whole nutritional profile in a really good way. It's sort of like it wakes up the nutrients inside the grain, makes them more available for your body to absorb, and potentially easier to digest too. Studies are suggesting this process can lower the carbohydrate count, maybe even the calories, and it often leads to a much gentler rise in your blood sugar compared to, regular breads. Wow, okay. So it's like the grain is doing some of the heavy lifting for us before we even eat it. Kind of. And here's something I found really fascinating. This sprouting thing, it actually increases the levels of really important stuff. We're talking protein, fiber, B vitamins, and, get this, even vitamin C. That's quite a boost, right? Plus, it reduces these things called anti-nutrients. I think of them like little roadblocks that can stop your body from fully grabbing onto all the good minerals and things. That's a good way to put it. Phytates are a common example. Yeah. And some studies even found more of those essential amino acids and folate too. Exactly. And if we zoom out and look at the bigger picture for seniors, that lower impact on blood sugar, that's particularly valuable, for managing healthy glucose levels, which is just key as we age. Makes sense. Plus, all that extra fiber is a real win for digestive health. That's something many older adults are quite mindful of. So, okay, practically speaking, what does this all mean for you listening? Sprouted grain bread seems to give you a nutritional leg up. It might help with keeping your weight and blood sugar more stable, and it could be easier on your stomach too, potentially, yes. So when you're shopping, maybe keep an eye out for breads made with a mix of different sprouted grains. Sometimes they even add things like sprouted lentils or beans, like that Ezekiel 429 bread the sources mentioned. That gives you a really complete protein source. Good tip. Look for variety in the sprouting. 3 vegetable-enriched bread, the unexpected softness. All right, moving on. Number 3 on our list of good breads. Now this one might sound a little, maybe unusual. Vegetable-enriched bread. Oh yes, this is an interesting area of research. Yeah, hear us out on this one. Our research dug up some really compelling studies looking at breads that had vegetables like pumpkin or sweet corn actually added into the dough. This really makes you think, doesn't it? Can we actually make bread better for seniors? Not just in the nutrients it provides, but also how easy it is to physically eat, right? Like the texture and swallowing. Exactly. And the research we looked at certainly suggests, well, yeah, maybe we can. These vegetable-enriched breads, They consistently showed higher levels of important nutrients, things like fiber and beta-carotene. Okay, that makes sense. Adding veggies. But here's the part that really surprised me. The older adults in these studies actually reported that these vegetable breads, they found them significantly easier to chew and swallow compared to regular white bread and even standard whole wheat bread. That's a very significant finding, isn't it? They also liked the taste, apparently, and said they'd be more willing to actually eat them regularly at home. What's really insightful here, I think, is the potential role of certain ingredients. Take pumpkin, for example. Pumpkin contains pectin. Pectin, okay. It's a type of fiber that holds onto water. It's hydrophilic. This might help create a softer, easier to manage bolus that's the little ball of food in your mouth. Oh, makes sense. And it could even potentially stimulate saliva production. Both of those things are so important for making swallowing easier. Okay, interesting. And often these breads might also include something like flaxseed, which adds even more fiber plus some healthy fats. And those can also help reduce any potential stickiness in the mouth. So the takeaway here for you, maybe keep an eye out for breads that are starting to incorporate vegetables. They might not be, you know, on every single supermarket shelf just yet. Not, yeah, perhaps. But the science points to them as being a really promising option, especially if you're looking for better nutrition and maybe easier eating if chewing or swallowing has become a bit of a concern. Definitely worth looking into. To 0.100% whole grain bread, the foundational fuel, okay, a number to pick for good breads. Now this one might seem like, well, duh, but it's so fundamental, it really deserves this high spot on the list. 100% whole grain bread, yes, and that 100% part is absolutely the crucial detail here. It's key. Why is that so important? Well, you see, a lot of breads out there that say multigrain or maybe just whole wheat on the front. Right. Sounds healthy. It sounds good. But they aren't always truly made with the entire grain kernel. But 100% whole grain bread, by definition, includes all three parts. The bran, the germ, and the endosperm. And that's where the good stuff is. That's where the vast majority of the fiber, the vitamins, the minerals, all that goodness is found. And here's what's so important for everyone listening to remember. Studies time and time again consistently link eating 100% whole grains regularly to things like a lower risk of type 2 diabetes. Very important. And it's fantastic for supporting your heart health too, by helping to manage blood pressure. Plus, all that amazing fiber, it helps keep your blood sugar from spiking and crashing. It keeps your digestion regular, and it can even help you maintain a healthy weight. Exactly. And if we connect this back to the bigger picture specifically for seniors, choosing 100% whole grain can mean more consistent energy levels throughout your day. No more of those slumps. Sounds good. Better gut health too. And it even helps protect against chronic inflammation, which we now understand is a really significant factor in the aging process itself. So when you're shopping, what should you look for exactly? You need to make sure that 100% whole wheat or another 100% whole grain, could be oats, rye, whatever, is listed as the very first ingredient on that nutrition label. First ingredient. Got it? Don't be fooled by anything lower down the list or just vague terms like wheat flour. Okay, so the bottom line for you listening, try to make 100% whole grain your go-to, your everyday choice for bread. It's really a cornerstone for sustained energy and good long-term health. It's a foundational choice. 1. Traditionally fermented sourdough bread, the gut's best friend. And now our number one pick. The top spot for the best breads for seniors is, drum roll please, traditionally fermented sourdough bread. Sourdough. But you hit the key word there, traditionally fermented. Right. There's a very important distinction here, isn't there? It's not just any sourdough off the shelf. Exactly. And this really makes us ask, well, what is it about traditional sourdough that makes it so beneficial? The key is that slow, long fermentation process. It uses wild yeast and those beneficial bacteria, the lactobacilli. Okay, this isn't your quick, commercially yeasted sourdough that you might find everywhere. We're talking about the real, slow fermented deal. And this process, it works wonders on the bread. How so? What kind of wonders? Well, here's what's truly remarkable. Research shows that this sourdough fermentation can significantly reduce the levels of those phytates we mentioned earlier, those anti-nutrients. Exactly. The ones that can block your body from absorbing key minerals from the grain. So by reducing phytates, the sourdough process actually makes minerals like calcium, magnesium, and iron more available for your body to use. Wow! So you get more nutritional bang for your buck, essentially. Precisely. Plus, the fermentation process also breaks down some of the gluten proteins, gluten, which potentially makes the bread easier for some people to digest, even some who might be sensitive to gluten in other breads. That's interesting. And what's also so fascinating now is the growing understanding of its impact on your gut health, right? The microbiome, yes. The probiotics, those good bacteria produced during this long fermentation, they contribute to a healthier balance of bacteria in your gut. And we now know that gut microbiome is linked to, well, almost everything. Your immune system, your mood, even your cognitive function. Incredible. And as a bonus, traditionally fermented sourdough also tends to have a lower glycemic index, meaning it helps keep your blood sugar much more stable after you eat it compared to many other breads. Okay, so lots of benefits there. What should people look for then to make sure they're getting the real deal? You want to opt for traditionally fermented sourdough bread. Look for labels that mention a long fermentation process, maybe mention the starter. It might cost a bit more, might be from a local bakery, but sounds like it's worth seeking out based on the science, yes. Its unique process unlocks more nutrients, seems gentler on digestion, supports that crucial gut health, and helps keep blood sugar steady. Fantastic. The silent saboteurs for bread science says you should limit or avoid. Okay, so that wraps up our top for good breads. Now we have to talk about the flip side. Yes, the ones to be a bit more cautious about, the breads that scientific studies are suggesting seniors should really try to avoid or at least significantly limit. Let's start our countdown of these. Our less good breads at number 4. Multigrain bread, not 100% whole grain. The deceptive label, right. Now this one often sounds really healthy, doesn't it? Multigrain. So let's dig into why it's on this list. This is a really important point to clarify for people. Just because a bread label shouts multigrain doesn't automatically mean it's, a top health choice. It's good marketing, maybe. Often, it's more of a marketing term than a real guarantee of nutritional value. Okay, so what's the catch then? Here's the catch. Many of these so-called multigrain breads are actually made primarily with refined white flour. The same stuff that's in white bread. It's been stripped of its fiber, its vitamins, its minerals during processing. So they just sprinkle some other grains in. They might have a few different types of grains or seeds sprinkled in, maybe for texture or appearance, but the main ingredient, the bulk of the bread, still acts a lot like white bread in your body, meaning those blood sugar spikes. Exactly. Leading to rapid blood sugar spikes and not providing much in the way of real, sustained nutritional benefits. Right. And I can see how someone trying to make a healthy choice could easily be misled. That's the concern. Seniors trying to do the right thing might unknowingly pick these breads, thinking they're getting a good source of whole grains, when actually they're missing out on all those crucial benefits we just talked about. So what's the action step? It is so important to basically ignore the flashy multigrain name on the front of the package. Okay. And instead, flip that package over. Look at the ingredients list. You must make sure 100% whole wheat or another specific 100% whole grain, could be oats, rye, right there at the very top. First ingredient. Got it? Check that list. Don't trust the name. Precisely. So the key takeaway for you listening, don't be misled by multigrain. Always take that extra second to really scrutinize the ingredient list. Make sure you're actually getting the real benefits of whole grains. That's well said. 3. Sweetbreads and pastries. The sugar roller coaster. Okay, moving down the list. Number 3 on our list of breads to be wary of. Sweetbreads and pastries. Oh yes, the tempting ones, the yummy ones. Cinnamon rolls, frosted buns, those Danish pastries. But why are they on the list? Well, what's really kind of eye-opening when you look at the science is how these seemingly delightful treats can impact our health, especially as we get older. They're often absolutely packed with refined sugars, loads of sugar, processed flours, and often quite a bit of unhealthy fats too, like saturated or even trans fats sometimes. Okay, and what does that combination do to us? That's not so sweet. Not so sweet for your body, no. Yeah, that huge hit of sugar causes your blood sugar to skyrocket really fast, but then inevitably it's followed by a significant crash. This roller coaster effect contributes to inflammation in the body. It causes those energy dips and fatigue we all dislike. Yeah, that afternoon slump. Exactly. And potentially, over time, it might even affect your cognitive function, your brain health. Plus, many of these items contain hydrogenated oils or trans fats, which are really bad news. They are particularly damaging for your cardiovascular health, your heart. And I guess for seniors, these effects might be even more pronounced. That's right. If we think about the bigger picture for older adults whose bodies might not process sugars and fats quite as efficiently as they did when they were younger. Makes sense. These negative effects can be felt more acutely, and they could potentially worsen existing health conditions like diabetes or heart issues. Okay, so the message here seems pretty clear. I think so. While, an occasional treat is perfectly fine, we're not saying never have a pastry again. Of course not. Life's too short. But try to think of sweetbreads and pastries as a very rare indulgence rather than, say, a regular breakfast item or afternoon snack. Exactly. Make it special, not standard. Your body really will thank you in the long run. Good advice. 2. Low-fiber breads, the digestive dilemma. Okay, coming in at number 2 on our list of breads to limit. This isn't one specific bread, but a whole category. Low-fiber breads. Yes. This is a crucial category to understand. So this raises a critical question, doesn't it? Why is fiber so incredibly important, especially as we get older? We keep mentioning it. We do, because it's vital. As the science clearly shows, fiber is just essential for keeping your digestive system running smoothly, preventing constipation. Okay, it helps regulate your blood sugar levels by slowing down sugar absorption. It supports a healthy heart, partly by helping to lower cholesterol levels. Wow, it does a lot. It really does. And it can even play a significant role in managing your weight because it helps you feel full and satisfied after eating. Okay, so fiber is key. Which breads fall into this low-fiber category then? Well, the main culprit here is any bread made primarily with refined white flour, like plain white bread. Exactly. Because during the refining process, the bran and the germ, which is where the vast majority of the fiber is located in the grain kernel, have been removed, stripped away. Even if they say enriched. That's a good question. Even if those breads are enriched, meaning some vitamins and minerals like B vitamins and iron are added back in artificially, they still lack that all-important dietary fiber. Enrichment doesn't add the fiber back. Oh, okay. That's a really important distinction. It is. And what's really important for people to understand is that not getting enough fiber can lead directly to things like constipation, which is a common issue for seniors, right? It contributes to those blood sugar imbalances, those spikes and crash we've been talking about. And because it doesn't provide that same feeling of fullness, that satiety, you might eat more later. You might unintentionally end up overeating later on because you just don't feel satisfied. It's worth noting the American Diabetes Association actually gives a guideline. They recommend aiming for breads that have at least 2.5 grams of fiber per slice. Okay, 2.5 grams per slice. That's a useful number to look for. It's a good minimum target. Yes, more is often better. So the practical advice for you listening, when you are choosing your bread, really try to make fiber content a priority. Flip the package over, look at that nutrition facts panel, get friendly with the label, and aim for options that hit at least the 2.5 grams of fiber per slice, and, ideally even more if you could find it. Absolutely. 1. Classic white bread. The ultimate health saboteur. Okay, we've reached the end of our countdown. The number 1 bread that the science suggests seniors should really try to avoid, or at the very least, drastically limit, perhaps unsurprisingly, is classic white bread. Yes, the ubiquitous white loaf. This is still a staple in many households. So it's really important we understand why the science points so strongly towards limiting it, especially as we get older. So what's the core issue? Again, it goes back to what we just discussed. It's made from that highly refined white flour. It's essentially been stripped of almost all its valuable nutrients, especially fiber, during the milling process. Okay. And what are the specific negative impacts the studies highlight? This is where it gets kind of sobering, right? It is. Studies indicate that regularly eating white bread can lead to those really rapid spikes in your blood sugar. This triggers an inflammatory response in the body, and there's even evidence suggesting this cycle can potentially accelerate the aging of your arteries. Wow, aging arteries, yes, which can negatively impact your circulation over time, particularly some studies noted in the legs. And poor circulation in the legs. That connects to other issues, right? Absolutely. It can increase the risk of falls. It can affect mobility, wound healing. It's not something to take lightly. And of course, that lack of fiber we keep mentioning also contributes directly to digestive issues like constipation. So if we connect this back to the main goals for seniors, things like maintaining strength, keeping good balance, staying mentally sharp here, all those crucial things for independence, it sounds like regularly eating white bread can actually sort of silently work against all those goals. That's a good way to put it. It can undermine those efforts in a way you might not even realize is happening, bite by bite. Okay, so the clear message for you listening regarding white bread, think of it as a very occasional food, maybe a treat once in a blue moon, rather than a regular part of your daily or even weekly diet. And swap it out for those much better options we discussed earlier. The 100% whole grain, the sprouted grain, the traditional sourdough. Making that switch can offer some really significant positive health benefits, empowering your choices. Well, there you have it, our countdown. The 4 best breads to look for and the 4 breads to be more mindful of, maybe limit or avoid. And this is all based on digging into the latest scientific findings. We truly hope this deep dive today has given you the knowledge, the power really, to make some smarter choices about this, very common everyday food. Absolutely. And remember, the goal here isn't about completely depriving yourself or being overly restricted, right? It's not about perfection. Not at all. It's about making informed small changes that over time can have a real and truly positive impact on your long-term health, your energy, your overall well-being. So pay attention to those ingredient lists and those nutrition labels we talked about. They really do tell the important story much more than the flashy name on the front sometimes. Take that extra moment in the aisle. Definitely worth it. Yeah. Now, we'd love to hear from you listening. What do you think? What are some of your favorite healthy bread choices? Or maybe you have questions about something we discussed today. Yeah. Let us know. Head over to the Seniors Healthy Community page and share your thoughts, your questions, your experiences. We love hearing from you. We do. And just to leave you with something to chew on, pardon the pun here, here's a final provocative thought for you to consider. Could something as seemingly simple, as basic, as changing the type of bread you eat, could that be a surprisingly powerful key to helping you maintain your independence, your strength, your vitality in your later years? It's a compelling question. The science we looked at today certainly suggests it's a really significant piece of the overall health puzzle. Something worth thinking about. Definitely food for thought. Well, thanks for diving deep with us again here on Seniors Healthy. We'll be back soon with more valuable insights and practical tips to help you live your healthiest, best life. Take care, everyone.